Hello and welcome to another episode of He Says, She Says Film Reviews. I'm Dave G, and joining me tonight is my co-host Lee G, and tonight we are looking at Jurassic World Dominion, the last of the Jurassic World franchise films in this trilogy anyway. We're not going to say that it's the last Jurassic Park film of all time, because who knows what's going to happen down the track. Now, basically, when this film starts off, Owen Grady, played by Chris Pratt, is kind of working as a dinosaur cowboy, rescuing dinosaurs and taking them to safer places. His partner, Claire, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, is going one step further, and she is rescuing dinosaurs from breeding facilities and meat markets and places like that. Yes, after the events of what happened in the last Jurassic World film, humanity and nature is having to learn to live with dinosaurs because they are absolutely everywhere. And as we see in the start of this film, sometimes it works beautifully, other times it doesn't work so well, of course, because with dinosaurs not being around for millions of years, we're suddenly finding that there's car accidents being caused by dinosaurs and things like that. So there's not that balance quite there just yet. Now, to kick things off even more so, Ellie Sattler, played by Laura Dern, is investigating this weird occurrence that seems to be happening where these gigantic locusts that have got some dinosaur DNA in them are destroying crops, but not crops that have been grown by one special company. So she's trying to investigate that, and she goes and gets the help of Alan Grant, played by Sam Neill, to help her out there. Now, aside from all of that, Owen and Claire are also struggling to deal with the fact that they became instant parents to Maisie, played by Isabel Sermon in the last film. Now, they are still trying to keep Maisie out of the public eye because they know that scientists will want to come and grab her because of the fact she's a clone. But Maisie is not being so nice about that. She doesn't understand why she can't go out into the world and live her life like another teenager. Then everything all comes to a head when all of a sudden Owen and Claire find themselves having to go on a rescue mission, not only for Maisie but also for Blue, the Velociraptor's baby Beta, who has also been taken by the same dinosaur hunters. Now, I know that you're a big fan of the Jurassic World and Jurassic Park franchise, just like I am. So what were your thoughts on Jurassic World Dominion?
I really love this movie more than the last one. I loved that they brought together the characters of Owen and Claire, along with the older characters.
Alan.
What's that?
Yeah, Owen and Claire with Ellie and Alan.
Yeah, with Ellie and Alan. So it was just great to have them all together in one movie, and just to see the chemistry between the different characters as well, and the way they work together. I liked watching the storyline of Maisie as well, trying to figure out who she was in the world or is in the world, and how she came to be, what her history was, her family history, and also I guess what her future is. I loved the dinosaurs, the animatronics and the CGI. It was all done really well, and you could see, the actors looking straight at the dinosaurs that were in front of them. So their acting skills are amazing, obviously, too. I think that would have to be a hard thing to do, is to work with characters that might not actually be right there with you in some scenes. Other scenes, I think the animatronics were right there with them, and they were obviously don't have to improvise quite as much.
It's obviously a knack that Chris Pratt's got too, because he does it a lot with Guardians of the Galaxy as well, like with Groot and and Rocket, they're not really there when he's filming that either. So
yeah, so I think it's amazing skill, because there was no scene in this movie where I couldn't tell which scenes were animatronics and which scenes were CGI. I couldn't tell, when they were acting, if there really was a creature in front of them or not, because it all flowed so well and the acting was so good. The storyline in itself was really good. I think that there were some great morals and values there about, about how scientists play around sometimes with things that they shouldn't, and also the relationship between people and animals. That's another storyline, I guess. And then you have another storyline of your identity and who you are in the world, and your legacy and who you are.
And talking of mixing humans and animals, our cats decided to come and join us right now as well. I thought that was a really powerful storyline that they had in this film, because very early on it seems that everyone's got this opinion that humanity's in the right and the dinosaurs have no right to do what they're doing, kind of thing, by living life every day. And I think it's brilliantly summed up one point where Claire says that humanity's going to have to learn to live with these creatures, because, we quite often see that in real life. If a shark attacks a human, then it's always, we've got to go and destroy the shark, whereas the human is actually in the shark's feeding zone, and the shark's done what comes naturally to it. So, it did have some interesting storylines like that. I thought the storyline too, that what Ellie is investigating is very interesting, about crop modifications and whether or not when companies do things like that, are they messing with nature. Of course, we saw here in Australia years and years and years ago when sugarcane farmers decided to bring in cane toads to kill a certain animal that was eating the sugarcane. We saw that backfire spectacularly, and now we've got an introduced species in Australia that kills our own native animals. So there's some pretty deep topics that this film goes into. And I thought it was interesting that so many people seem to say that they thought this film was weaker than the last film, but I thought the last film was completely ridiculous with the whole storyline of dinosaurs inside a mansion. I thought this film went back to that kind of, it sounds weird saying natural action, but the natural kind of feel that we got from the first films, where I remember when the first movies came out, people couldn't believe that it felt so realistic, because you're talking about a storyline with a Tyrannosaurus Rex and stuff in it. But I thought it went back to that, and I thought it actually handled the storyline of mixing the Jurassic Park cast and the Jurassic World cast together fairly well. I'm like you, I was blown away by the scenes with some of the dinosaurs. I do wish there was more of Blue, because Blue is my favourite. In fact, we've got a little Blue figurine watching us as we do this podcast right now. But I understand that they did have to move some of the action away from her, so it wouldn't have made sense to have had her there for the entire time. But I thought the film came together wonderfully well. My only thing I was kind of disappointed in, and I won't give too much away, but I thought the villain was kind of cliched. They could have done more with that character, I thought, than what they actually did. I did love that they also found a way to bring Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum, back from the original film as well, because he was always one of those characters that was interesting in the first Jurassic Park films. So it was good that he was able to make the return and come back into this as well.
Yeah, I agree. And also, you mentioned the storyline of Blue and wanting to see Blue more. I think through the storyline, I actually wanted to see more of Blue, but also her baby.
Beta.
Yeah. So, through the film, you see you see the baby Beta, you see the baby through the the first half of the film really, and then I think it disappears a bit too much. Like, I want to see a little bit more of where it's gone, what it's doing, because it's a big part of the storyline is to, I guess, know what that character's doing, or know. I don't want to give too much away, you see, so I'm trying to be careful. But to see what happens to that baby in the end. So I would like to have seen the baby pop up a little bit more throughout the film, even if it's just a glimpse of what they're doing now, or where they've gone.
Yeah, I love the nods to the other films in this as well. One of the other characters that returns here is Dr. Henry Wu, played by B.D. Wong. And there's a classic line in there. I can't remember which character it is. It's either Alan, I think, or Ian. Sees him and says, "Oh, it's him. It's always him," because like he, of course, was the one that caused all the disasters to happen in the first film. So yeah, I thought that was great. It's often when they make these movies where they try to bring back old cast members back into a franchise, it fails spectacularly. Here it worked so well, and I think it worked so well because they did bring back the characters, but they were able to get the same actors to play those parts. So I really take my hat off to Laura Dern, Sam Neill, Jeff Goldblum, and also B.D. Wong. A lot of people have actually asked the question about why there is a different actor playing Lewis Dodgson. Of course, if you're a really big Jurassic Park fan, you will know that Lewis Dodgson appears for a couple of scenes in the original Jurassic Park film. If you want to go back and watch it, it is the character that has the meeting with, and this is a real shame, I cannot remember his name, but he has a meeting with the actor who played Newman in Seinfeld in the original film. Now, a lot of people have asked why it's a different actor. I won't go into it too much because it's legal, but if you want to have a look up the actor who played Lewis Dodgson in the original film, Google his name and Google court case. You will find out why he's not there, because he's done some bad stuff in his life, and that's why he's not back in this film. So yeah, that just wraps up that question about why people were asking about why did B.D. Wong come back but not the original actor to play Dodgson. It's because he's not a very nice man apparently. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But it was good to see the rest of the original cast come back. It's a shame they didn't bring the kids back as adults from the original film. But look, the rest of it I thought worked really well. Being a Jurassic Park and a Jurassic World fan, I really liked the way that the two worlds met, and I thought they did that quite well.
There were some other characters I liked in it. I liked the character of Kayla, and really, she's a bit of a hero in the story. But I think, coming into that world, she's done a really good job with that, and really stood out as a character actually. And she is played by DeWanda Wise. There was another character called Ramsey, and I quite liked him in this movie. And yeah, I don't want to give away too much, but his character does bring something. There's some moral storylines and implications throughout the movie, and his character brings a lot. To that storyline.
The one that I thought that they kind of could have used more is they brought in the character of Soryana, played by Deishman Lockman, who most people would know from The 100, and if you live here in Australia, from Neighbours. Her character came in and she kind of had a really important role, and then the character kind of just petered out and disappeared. Whether or not, and some people have speculated that perhaps her character is going to be a character that will appear in a future franchise if they do it, because it did kind of seem weird that they set this character up and then had her disappear, like with no kind of finale for her character. So yeah, maybe they will do something with her character in the future, who knows. But yeah, that's the only character that you're kind of left wondering, well, what happened there, kind of thing. But I guess to wrap up, what are you going to give Jurassic World Dominion out of 5?
I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. It is a film I'd love to go back and watch again. I have to admit, I saw it at the premiere, and then I watched it again about 3 weeks later, and I loved it even more when I watched it the second time. So I think it's that kind of film that will grow on you. I think the first time I was so trying to keep track of which character was where and where they came from in the original story that I lost focus on some parts of it. But watching it a second time, I was just able to sit back and enjoy it, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I'm giving Jurassic World Dominion 3 out of 5, and Lee is giving it 4.5 out of 5. That's it for this episode of He Says, She Says Film Reviews, and we'll be back very, very soon with another episode.